Welcome back to the Nullified Tag channel here on YouTube, where we've got the TNT tags for you for the Challenge All Stars 4, Episode 4, and we're going to recap everything that went down. My name is Kahuna, and I'm joined today by, unfortunately, Chris is not here today, folks. You're going to have to put up with the varsity squad or the JV squad here in Kahuna. But luckily, with Chris normally carrying my very, very ample ass, I've got a heavy hitter here, the #1 challenge channel on YouTube, Angel Cake Entertainment. Drew, welcome to the Nullified Take. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for that incredible intro, and thank you for having me. But I will say that we're both in this together. We're on the same team. There's no difference. We're both equal here. So, but I'm happy. This is a good episode to talk about. Like, I'm excited to hear what you have to say, as well as what everybody else has to say in the live chat. Because, for what an episode for Chris to miss. I'll just say that. What an episode for Chris to miss.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have the baker in chief here, master of the bakery. So shout out to the chat, of course. We've got Chris, as always. Hey squad. Lovable Nikki, we love you. You know that. Kiwi Skirt's got her coffee ready and she's ready to go. So do I. Mine's very cold and full of ice, because that's what I do. For a cold winter's morning, I like an iced coffee, apparently. We've got Killer Rays here saying, I'm here. Thana, hello. So thank you for joining us. We are, of course, missing Chris today, so I pour a 40 out for Chris. He's, I guess, probably fitting for something like the challenge, but Chris is actually partaking in a Spartan race this weekend, which whenever anyone says to me, I'm just going to run 5.8 kilometers over muddy obstacles for fun, I'm just like, I don't understand that at all. Like, what is going on there? But we've got Georgette Sparks in the comments. Amber's here. Hey, Amber. Of course, before Danica B, not driving, in fact. Just eating and typing. Excellent. Joanne's here. Hello. And Victoria. Hello, everyone. Great to see you both. Good luck, Chris. Yeah. I think Chris is good. I think he'll be all right. He said it's a short stroll for someone like him trying to get back into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said to me the other day, it's 5.8 kilometers, which is what, like three something miles. He says, I'm trying to work back up towards the 25K. I'm like, okay, mate.
Sheesh. I want to do a race. I don't think it's gonna happen this year, but I got sidelined with like some injuries to my calf. I got like calf strains and stuff, so it took me a while to like build myself up. Also to remember that I am over 30 and that I need to stretch. But yeah, that's wild. Basically, Chris said in a roundabout way, you don't want to see me in a final. And you and I are like, yeah, we don't want to see him in a final. Like, screw that.
That's fine. That's fine. I do like that you mentioned specifically, you realized, oh yeah, I'm over 30. Things hit differently. And it's very fitting for a show like All Stars specifically, because we are seeing middle-aged people partake exactly what Chris is doing. So it's interesting that. But we do, of course, are talking about episode 4, All Stars 4. And what has turned out... Oh, I want to send a shout out to Miranda Garcia. Hello from Texas, where the stars are bright. Is it at night?
Yeah.
The stars are bright.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, shout out Miranda. But, yeah, episode 4, All Stars 4. Enjoying this season a lot. Like you said, a hell of an episode to miss out on for Chris. We start off, obviously the episodes always start off with the recap, and after the recap, we sort of see the fallout from the last elimination. Now, before we sort of talk about it, I just want to quickly just throw in a line there. I love Kiefler, and I'm really sad that we haven't had him for 25 years. Like, where has this man been in my life? Because they were just playing maybe it's the music, because the music on this season is so awesome as well. Yeah. But that opening with Eve, who's that girl? Dun, 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 dun. And Kiefler's just vibing out all the time. Like, I love this man. But anyway, the fallout from the elimination, we see the Mean Girl Alliance talking about Tina basically donating her star and being okay with it when Rachel took it. But Rachel throws in a couple of jabs here, saying, Tina didn't go down. She didn't earn it. She's come last 3 times in a row, and kind of copying some flack from her best friends in the house. What did you think of like the fact that first of all they planned it, or
Mhm.
according to them, that's what it was, right? I'm going to take it from you. I'm going to give it to Veronica and keep it within the alliance. 4 episodes in now, this star format, we see a little bit of a variance at the end of this episode. But what do you think of this? That you can, we saw it last week, but now we see that they were actually okay with it and planned it. Is this the right way to go about it? You know, what do you think of being able to just give it to someone else that didn't go in? Because they're saying Tina didn't go down, but Veronica hasn't either now, right? Veronica hasn't won
Yeah.
either, and she's got a star. So this is sitting a little bit funny with me when I see it that way now.
I think it's actually a smart move in the long run because this is a long game. And by episode 3, you kind of don't know how the rules are going to go. The main idea, I think, was that Rachel really hoped that TJ was going to be like, you don't have to steal a star. You can just walk away.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like, there's no way he was going to let you do that. Realistically, it did nothing. Honestly, like, yes, the star moved from Tina over to Veronica, and the final started the next day. Veronica would be in the finals and not Tina. But the idea of we still need to get that last star onto one of the other Mean Girls, you just change the name of who needed to get that next
Yeah.
star.
Tina
Um,
versus Veronica.
yeah, and I think it was smart on Kara's to talk to Rachel and to make that like deal with her to keep her star. Also, shout out to Adam who had the connections with Rachel that she didn't want to steal his star and give it to another dude. That it kind
Mm.
of worked out that way for him. But yeah, I thought it was a smart move to not like make anybody else angry. Now, I say that as a person looking at the game moves and how early the game is. But as an audience member, I wish you would have just taken Kara's star
Just take it.
and then and then you could just like have all your friends do it, get a little bit messy, but it seems like we're gonna get messy on top of messy.
They could have
Starting
had
this episode going further.
Yeah, they could have just, even if it's 1 episode, like you said, so much of it is going to be temporary. Veronica's not holding on that star till the end.
Mm-mm.
So it could have been so temporary, but so much fun that all 3 of them had a star for at least 1 episode, right? Like
Yeah.
they could have played that up. That was a missed opportunity as far as TV goes, I think, to be able to have the Mingle Alliance, all 3 with a star, it all going to their head. Tina like lapping it up as like where the bee's knees kind of thing. I think there was a missed opportunity there to just enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like one thing I do like about this season, and we see it a lot in this episode, is that I don't know if it's like because they are a little bit older, everything they do can come across as a little bit. I imagine some of their kids would be watching these episodes and just like, Mom, what are you doing? That's not cool. Like that's not funny. Like this season is a little bit sloppier. They put in the outtakes. They put in the bloopers with TJ missing the Apple Cash last week. They put in things like that. And, and this one they had the jump transition into the challenge.
Mhm.
Like I loved it. I thought it was dope,
Yeah.
but it is one of those things that I can just imagine their kids are cringing just so hard. Like, like the middle-aged parents going, "Yeah," and then
You know what I think though? Now that we're talking about it, and first, Lovable Nikki is correct. Adam Star was safe because him and Avery won the challenge. So Steve Star would have been up for grabs. So yeah, Rachel and Steve go back too and have that connection as well from the gauntlet. But what I'm thinking is what if Rachel just like wants to work with Kara? Both are
mm,
incredible competitors. Let's be real.
yep,
The idea that the Mean Girls Alliance, the trio, not only would make it deep into the season, but all 3 would somehow be having stars at the end of this season to make it into the finals was probably bare to none. And Rachel, we
yep,
know, is a highly competitive player, is in top shape. Kara's a legend as well. And maybe she was just like, I need another legend to have my back because I'm probably going to lose either Veronica or Tina or somebody else that I'm going to need some of those numbers. So I wonder if she was like, I need to branch out, have Kara on my side. She can look out for me. I can look out for her, and nobody's going to want to take us out. That's what I'm thinking now is what Rachel was trying to pull out that olive branch to Kara in episode 3.
I mean, it's sound logic to me. Like it's one of those instances for where it's emotional friendship, real life versus strategy in the game because she's obviously close with them. They talk about how much they love each other all the time.
Mhm.
But surely if I'm Rachel, I'm looking around at my two of the three and I'm going, oh boy, are they gonna how are they gonna help me get to the end, right? So I think a lot of it in this game is always about timing. Like you said, it's just so early in the season. They could have actually played with it and had that fun knowing that it's not going to last anyway.
Mhm.
But maybe Rachel is thinking, yeah, like I will. Obviously, I don't think she wants to run against Kara in the final, but to get to the final, you might need to not go up against her as often as it played out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree. Good decision there. Um, we go into the actually, what did you? There was that one scene, and it was short, but it stuck with me. I'm really sorry about this, Drew, but Chris
No.
is a much better host, and I think it's because I basically have undiagnosed ADHD, and I hyper focus on the little things. And I'll point out things today that I don't think Chris would mention. But Cam had a chat with Nicole,
Mhm.
and Nicole's dropping, man, Cara Maria is she said, you know, I can't believe Cam didn't have my back. And Cam is not making friends on in the audience at least this season. But
Yeah.
what did that thing and I feel like they put it in there just to add a little bit of spice and a little bit of salt to Cam being maybe a bit of a baddie this season, like a bit of a villain this season because she's certainly copying flack from the internet audience. But this scene here, I just felt like Nicole is the worst, most unreliable narrator to be able to pass on this information. I'm like, there's no, like, no, I don't believe you, Nicole. Like, Cara Maria, maybe you had it, but she's like, yeah, I had a chat with Cara Maria. She's saying, what do you think of Nicole being the instigator here? Was it a matter of Cam is very strong, Cara is very strong, I'm one of the strong women. Maybe I'm gonna sow some dissent here and see what I can sort of get going between Cara and Cam.
Hmm. And first of all, I just want to say, you do not have to apologize for like if you watch any of
Going
my
all over the
content
place.
and like the trailers, like I narrowly like focus in on the
Oh
smallest little
yeah,
bit
I
of
know.
details. And so like 10 minutes of me breaking down one screen to just get it wrong at the end of the day, like do not apologize for that. But I do understand what you're saying. Like it was such a small scene between the two of them, and of all the people that came to talk to Cam, it was Nicole talking about it. So it was just like
Yeah.
it was a weird situation. Now Nicole has played on seasons with Cara and Cam and Laurel. Like they're all in this in the mix with each other. So maybe there
Mm,
is this like agreement that maybe if they didn't work together in like previous seasons and all stars, let's have an agreement that will kind of like all play nice with each other. It could have been nothing. I don't want to give or think that Nicole is that advanced in her strategy or pot stirring to think that she's going to like plant seeds of dissension between Cam and Cara. I truly believe maybe they were just like hanging out and she was legit just saying
yeah, just
something.
chatting.
Yeah, just
Okay.
chatting and kind of giving her some like because like Cam said, I think it was last episode, yeah, episode 3 where she's like pumping every 2 hours or every hour that she's going to be in that room kind of by herself unless she wants people in the room with her. So maybe she was like, she feels like a little bit disconnected, and Nicole was walking by and said, "Hey," and then she was like, "Hey, what's going on in the house? What are people saying?" And Nicole just said like the first thing that came off the top of her head, and then Cam is already frustrated with Cara that maybe it just built upon itself without Nicole really having to do anything much to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because there was already the fuse was lit. She just added a little
Yeah.
bit of fuel. Yeah. I like how Chris pointed out Nicole is one of the strong things. Okay, whatever you say. I think maybe I think maybe more Nicole sees herself that way, potentially. I don't know if she even has that kind of self-reflection, to be honest with you. So we go, as I said before, we have the jump transition, which is great. Like just seeing them jump from one thing and then land in their outfits for the challenge. And it's called Unbraided Reloaded. And this was a
So good.
phenomenal daily.
So
Phenomenal
good.
daily. We basically had 4 teams of 5. I don't know about the 14 thing because it made the voting funny at the end, but man, what a phenomenon this was. We had hanging on the rope on the side of a semi-trailer truck, which is, modern challenge kind of staple, and it always looks phenomenal. It's a visual feast. It's scary. It's all that sort of thing. Basically, they're hanging on the side of a truck, and they had to unbraid themselves from a rope, and then solve basically a peg puzzle with multi. This was chaos. It was fun. There was strategy. There was teamwork. There was one team where there was too many chefs spoiling the broth. There was one team with no leaders doing anything. We had people screaming about titties and ass in their face, and all this sort of thing. What a daily! What a daily this was.
This is, I think, one of like a perfect challenge. I think it's a perfect challenge. It's got the spectacle aspect, but it's not like overly complicated. It's not like all bang and no substance. It's like
Mhm.
it's legit just so good. And in a team aspect, everybody on the team had something to do. There was even teams. It was awesome. To me, it was great. And there was no timing out either. Cause I was worried about that with the truck
Yep.
and it being a runway that I was like, I'm worried that it gets one way, then it turns around and goes the other way, and then we're gonna stop it and we're gonna check the pegs to see who got further down the line or something. But no, they just let people go. And it was so good. To me, it was so funny. The editing was perfect for it. The teams were chaos, as well as the musical cues of having Spice Girls was awesome. To me, that I watched this 4 times and I was dancing the entire time. Slash Spice Girls was stuck in my head. It was awesome.
If you've watched it 4 times, and as I said, sometimes I'll pick up and hyper focus on the wrong thing. Someone mentioned that, like, you meant the edit was awesome, all that sort of thing. Um, One question that I had on All Stars, they're dropping f bombs constantly. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, there must have been 15 to 20 f bombs on this episode. Most of them from Jasmine. Uh,
Yeah.
as I said, they're mentioning titties being in their face and all that sort of thing. Someone at one point, I think it was Cara Maria, screamed, "Ow, my vagina!"
Yeah.
And I feel like if Chris was on this episode, he'd probably pass out just from hearing that. Um, but but there was one bit, and I want to ask what your interpretation of knowing that they're swearing all the time, they're screaming about titties and vagina and all this sort of thing. Flora says at one point, "I end up upside down,"
Mhm.
and Veronica, her ass and her beep, it got censored, are in my face. Veronica, get off my face. What did what did she say here when they're saying F word? Like, they're doing all this. What is in her face that Paramount had to censor?
I would probably think that she said the P word. I don't
P?
know if I'm allowed to say it. I don't wanna say it just in case. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I think that's what she said, and I think the
Okay.
challenge doesn't wanna go. I think maybe the challenge thinks that it's, like, maybe a little too crude. Like, they'll say the F word, but they won't say, anything that's not, like, clinical, you
Love it
know?
when they
Yeah,
back it
exactly.
up.
I think it's
Yeah.
like if she said clinically, like she said her vagina's in my face, then it's different, but if she says anything else, they're gonna censor it.
Chris said, "You're asking the wrong person. It was too pure." Couldn't possibly. I love it. So anyway, that's an example of how I look at the wrong things and focus on the silly things.
But
So yeah, we had a daily
but
challenge
that's
that required.
but
Sorry.
that's great commentary though. Like
Mm,
I'm sorry, but Flora, like there's some people that
it
are on
is.
this season that's not getting enough camera time, and it's saddens me. Flora is a character. Flora has great commentary when she is like on the screen. Why aren't we having more? At least like once or twice every single like portion we can cut to Flora just saying something.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me. I'm glad that she's like still in the game and she's not getting thrown into eliminations over and over again because I felt like she could have been the easy target. But I still think that there's a huge missed opportunity without with Flora not getting enough confessionals, in my opinion.
Yeah, like if you're gonna get one, at least she got a good one. My
Yeah.
man Ace, that is always in my head now. Ace has nothing again. In fact, in this challenge, it gets mentioned about how he is the only one that's done it before, right? And
Mhm.
he's got an advantage. It's Kara telling it. It's not even Ace saying, "I've done this before." It's
Yeah.
Kara. So bloody Ace. Anyway. So Like I said, there's teamwork, there's strategy, there's patience, there's calamity, there's speed. This challenge had it all. And we end up with Laurel's team, the pink team, excelling, I think, primarily due to her leadership. Cam's obviously very good at puzzles, and they kind of worked well together,
Mhm.
problem solving, all that sort of thing. And yeah, the pink team win. The middle group is the one voting. And
Yeah.
this is something that I thought was a little bit not necessarily bad, because when you've got 4 teams, like what else do you do? But a 5-person voting block to decide this. Like, what did you think of the middle group having that much power with only 5 people?
I thought that this was interesting in the sense that you only have 5 people. I felt like this was like a pivotal moment. We're getting close to the middle of the season. We're on episode 4, we're heading into 5 and 6, and I just don't know how many more of these challenges we're going to get to until we eliminate enough people. And I felt like at this portion, they waited a good time for people to show like their true intentions and their true colors. So we get to where it's only 5, and now we get to see like the calamity of, are these people willing to make bigger moves? I actually really enjoyed it. I like that there was only 5 people to vote. It does beg the differ. It really shows this particular episode that it was almost, I don't know, it was almost better to be the middle group than to have won or to have lost. Because if you
Mm,
are the middle group, you essentially have the most power, like
yeah.
all of in this entire thing. But with that being the case, where we're about to see it, whoever you're going to vote in, which one of the two you're going to vote in, I mean, there's only a handful of people now that
To
make
pick
your
from.
that make your list if you're coming back. So I
Yeah.
mean, unless one of the top
Oh,
2
yeah.
winners of Laurel and, well, we're going to say it, Laurel and Cam go down and take care of business against one of the people that you voted in, then now you're sitting there, the person knowing, okay, well, you voted for me and you voted for me and you voted for me, and there's only 5 people. I'm not in a
That's
you
true.
weren't in a group of 10, and my name just so happened to got the most votes. So,
It gives the people coming back a focus target,
yeah.
that a very short hit list that they can work off towards. Um, oh, before Danica B said, going back to the Flora, the P word or the C word, I'm Australian, so I think I lent towards the C word a little bit more in that regard. Um, oh, Dolores, welcome. Says, late to the party. Kahuna finally took. I'll try to be good, Dolores. I'll try. Um, so yeah, people backing you up there. Flora is iconic. Dana D says. And Kiwi Skirt backing up. Dolores, yep, Chris is done. It's Kahuna time. It's not Tony time. It's Kahuna time. Yeah, there you go. Dolores says this is Kahuna Factor. All right, that's what the next show we're going to release is going to be called the Kahuna Factor. um, yeah. So we did finish the daily challenge. Actually, let's see what people are saying in the comments.
Are you surprised of Laurel and Cam working so well together in their group, that we
mm,
saw the green team be, I guess, the most messy. I guess we're gonna say
yeah.
that, where it seemed like Adam and Rachel seemed like they were fighting each other. Both are very
Yep.
strong, highly opinionated, which I would say is both the same with Laurel and Cam. Yet the pink team was on fire, whereas the green. What do you think is the differing factor, or are you surprised about how well
Mm,
the pink team
that's
worked together compared to like a team that was made up of a lot of relatively decently performing players like the green team or the orange team?
I do like that the green team very specifically, and good edit there beforehand when they give the little confessionals. They were like, I can't believe they let this team get together. Like,
Yeah.
this is just too unfair. It's the perfect like Chekhov's gun to just drop that in at the start, knowing that there's no way they're gonna win once they said it. Look, I think I didn't get this from Laurel as a normal personality thing, but this was the first time I heard she was like, "I love being in a team. I'm a captain on volleyball. Like I'm a team player." And I'm like, "Really? That does
Mhm.
not come across in your normal personality at all, Laurel." But, so I mean, if that's the case, she's she's worked in teams before. I think it's just that competitive nature.
Mhm.
And I don't know if this kicks in for how much of a factor this plays, but both of Laurel and Cam have been much more recent competitors than Rachel and Adam. We're talking 20
Mm,
plus years
true.
of being in that environment, being in that situation, probably even being in any kind of team sport environment. I don't know what they do, but Rachel, running her fitness business and all that sort of thing isn't like, maybe they play sports on the side. I don't know. I'm not going to make any claims, but we do know that Laurel and Cam have specifically been in this situation multiple times in recent years. And I think there's an element of muscle memory to it as well. Like, you kind of just
Mhm.
fall into like, we do this, we know what we're doing. And both of them being strong, strategic, wanting to win, I think can put that down a bit, put the ego down a bit in order to help the team, like that's what I'm hoping anyway. Yeah. So before we go to so we did finish the challenge. Delight saying Kahuna's wearing a collared shirt today. He's not. No, it's not a collared shirt. This is a hoodie.
Yeah, we
It's
got
a
the
jacket
hoodies in here.
under the hoodie. The problem is, this is one of my old hoodies from when I had 250 more pounds on me. So it actually is a bit of an hoodie. Do you have hoodies in the States? Do you know what hoodies are?
No, but I actually got something that was like a really oversized, like, hoodie mixed with a blanket. It's like
That's
a
an hoodie.
blanket. Okay, so yeah, I have
Yeah.
something like that. It's named something else here, but I got it for Christmas one time. I have it, and I
Yeah.
almost wore it today, and then I was like, nah, I would get really hot, and I just sweat
Yeah.
so much.
They're a bit too much, isn't it? Like, even, well, it's what is it? Spring. It's spring for you guys at the moment
Yeah, spring,
in
but
Florida.
where I live, spring is edging on on the sense of hell, and then when we get to the next month, it's going to be the core of
Hell.
the earth on Earth. So yeah, it's not going to be very fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Australia. I know the thing, but we're in winter right now, so that's why I'm wearing a hoodie/hoodie. Amy Sue, welcome to the live. I'm finally catching a live episode this season. Welcome. Jorge Cortez says, "What do you guys feel about Leroy being in the bottom of every challenge so far?"
This is rough.
Man,
It's rough. So it's funny because one of my I do some blind rankings where I like pick random players from like postcard and like rank them. And somebody caught my what somebody commented recently on a blind rankings that I did for the men's side preseason before the season even started, where I had Leroy and I said, "Oh, ranked number 1, ranked over like everybody." And somebody said that aged like milk. And I was like, "You know what? I can't blame you. I mean, check the
yeah,
date, but I kind of regret that one now. This is
love when you
wild.
can do a correction.
It's
Not
wild.
every episode. There was that episode where he was in the middle group with the Ayana, the I, the
3
Ayana
of
things.
4 episodes he's been
Yeah.
in the losers group.
It's
It's
not
it's rough.
great. It's not
It's
looking good
rough.
for Leroy,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, like, not only disappointing, but super surprising, right? Consider, like I said, in the preseason when we drafted, I felt like this was almost being set up for Leroy to finally get a win, and that would have been a great story for an All-Stars, especially going to season 4 on the men's side. Like, they didn't
Mhm.
really stack it, and I think they put it in place so that Leroy could have a better chance. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I almost wonder if he's like maybe because Cam is in the house and he just feels so comfortable because she's there and he knows he can rely on somebody. Like maybe if he was there, like if he was there by himself, maybe he'd be working the room and the social and feel like he needs to like really pick it up. I don't know. I maybe it's just being away from the game for so many years and kind of
yeah,
being out of tune with it. But I mean, looking at the guys though, I felt like Leroy is like on another level compared to some of these guys coming into this where they haven't been on the show in 18, 25 years. You have Ryan and Derek who haven't been doing well in previous All-Stars. Um, yeah, it's just wild. It's just wild.
this is an interesting point from Jorge here. Because Leroy losing so much is actually making Cam work overtime with the politics, and maybe why she's coming across to at least some of the audience that not like as much is because she's carrying the water for Leroy here and having to protect him so much a little bit, you know?
I I also think so. I don't want to get too out of order, but I kind of want to bring this up that I made again, I made a short today talking about some of the Cam and Cora stuff that's going on, and I just feel like I just feel like I like the moves that were made and of this episode in particular, um, by putting two really strong competitors up against each other and
Mhm.
Cam pushing that. I think that's good. The problem I think a lot of people are having is the intention of why Cam wanted those two people going head to head with each other. And to me, it, I feel like she's showing her cards way too early.
Yep.
I think she is well insulated, and I feel like she's doing a great job pulling the strings on certain players to do that. Like Jasmine being like, I want to send in these two people to Tina of Rachel and Veronica. And then one conversation in the morning and Cam has them doing something completely different. And I think that's good. But I think the whole intention behind it was she didn't vote the way I wanted. She's clearly not with me. When I feel like that's such a loose kind of weak argument to go off of. I think if you saw her not vote the way you wanted, yet you still got your way, make a mental note, write it down. No, okay, I need to repay that later. I got to keep that in mind. So if we have another thing brought up this season and I have to go and talk to Kara and stuff, or Kara does some other like weird behavior that I'm not gelling with, then later on we can start making moves towards that. But I don't know. I just think it's coming off as it's coming off weird. It's coming off as very petty rather than coming from a very strategic standpoint. I don't know. That's just my opinion on the whole thing.
I like this approach from Elise. She says, I feel like Cam is trying to make a lame excuse to target Kara. Like she knew she wanted to
Mhm.
target Kara and it was pre-planned. She knows that's the right move to make for her end game. And any little excuse, she's like, there it is. Like now I've got my reason to be able to justify and get away with it, perhaps. Um, I don't think it's a bad idea to target, but like you said, so much of this game comes down to timing, right?
Mhm.
And especially early on, when you're throwing in a Kara and a Rachel, especially against each other, guess what? One of them's coming back.
Yeah.
Like, like you guarantee not both of them are getting eliminated. So then you run that risk of when you do throw down the strong people, you either use them as a cudgel, as a tool to do your dirty work for you, like what Rachel feels like they did last week in order to get Ayana out. So that doesn't always sit well with the strong person that you're going to throw me in just to do your work for you. And then there's also the thing of I'm coming back that you voted me in and all that. So there's that sort of thing. So there's certainly risks involved when you're targeting the strong people. But
Mhm.
if it works out, if it had actually worked out for like I guess it Rachel's gone, that was one of the two, like it's gonna happen, but you're kind of setting yourself up better for the long run at the end. It's just as I said, it's about timing and when can you actually pull it off and when does the opportunity present itself to do it? Like if this middle five didn't have a Jasmine and Brandon so willing to turn on Kara, like what would have actually happened here? And if that didn't come up again where you could put a Kara against a Rachel, is that opportunity missed for someone like Cam to be able to instigate that, you know? It's all you don't know when or how you even get that chance again to come up.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on timing, but I still think that it was a good move. I just wish you would like just I don't know. Yeah, I just think it's a lame excuse. And I think that's why people are like really frustrated about it. Um Also, there's Jasmine and Cam are having a lot of people turn on them. I saw some Twitter X posts from Jasmine. She had to private her account, I guess because
Uh,
people were tagging too much with her. But she did in the right when the episode aired, or in the morning of the episode aired. She said she was taking time off from work, and she was like, she said she was taking time to laugh at all the hate that was coming towards her. And then the next day I noticed that she had a lock next to her account so that people I guess couldn't write her or see her account if they're not already following her. which
Shame.
is unfortunate because it is a game, but it is how you come off as well. And I felt like both Cam and Jasmine, I think, were going the hardest on Kara when I don't think they need to go that hard on her. I wonder the way they were the way everybody is acting, I wonder if there was more happening that we just didn't get to see, because it
Mm.
just seemed like it was piling on so crazy fast. I just don't. I am.
Tana D said that she likes Jasmine this season. I agree. I like seeing fiery, like very vocal Jasmine. She's
Mhm.
fun. I missed her. I didn't remember what she was like. All I remember is that she wasn't a great competitor, and I never really respected her like game. But her personality this season, I'm loving a lot. I think I don't know
Mhm.
if that's age and being a mom and all that sort of thing in life, just beating you down to the point where she doesn't care anymore. She's gonna scream and swear all she wants. I dig that. But speaking of people that maybe are not getting a great reputation or looking good, we also get a scene after this where it's Laurel and Nicole again, and
Ugh.
we know that that is setting up something horrible down the road. We know how it played out in real life, and we see in the next week's episode that there's going to be more on that. But this toxic just relationship cycle continues. Um, I don't know if it's Laurel's competitive nature that like just attracts her to again just self-absorbed people or something, but it's not a smart choice from this lady. Like she's standing there in a towel having a chat with her ex. I'm like, what are you doing, Laurel? Run as fast as you can. It's such a weird thing that's we know it's how it's going to end up, but we still have to be subjected to it, Drew.
Yeah, this was a tough scene to watch just knowing the outcome of it, but man, it's one of those things where I just wish that what if, like, we were talking about what ifs, but like what if like Tony just didn't have to leave the house? Like, would this conversation would have happened? Because it seemed like everything kind of expedited
Yeah.
itself when Tony left. That other pillar for Nicole left, to where she's like, I only have Jay and I need somebody else. I need somebody else to have my back. Rachel, I guess, was working out with Nicole, but you never know how close they actually are. Nicole's talking to Cam now, but this was rough, and the challenge house is like a pressure cooker where you're only with somebody for a certain amount of days, unless you're filming the flagship show and you're there for like 3 months. So then you're there what much longer. But it's like a pressure cooker that you're seeing everybody for 24/7, and whatever feelings you're having just get amplified because you are so cut off from everybody
Mm.
else, and you don't have anybody to really reflect on there, and everybody that you're playing with you think is lying to you. So at a certain point you're just like, all you know for it to be true is what you're feeling inside and what you yourself to a certain extent. And yeah, it was tough. I like that they're cordial, but I know where it leads to, and it's not good. So it
Yeah.
was it was tough.
It wasn't popular with the people either because Victoria said,
No.
"Oh, no talk of Laurel and Nicole." Elise couldn't even put it into words. Just a emoji is more than enough
It's
to
rough.
express. Yeah. We've got Chris saying, "Ugh, not these two." I think she meant Nicole and Laurel, not us. um, Miranda, I don't understand Laurel's attraction to Nicole.
It's the history. It's the
Yeah.
history that they have. I mean, she
Yeah.
talked about how abruptly their relationship ended, and now that you're stuck in a house, you kinda now couldn't get that closure, but then soon, if you're showing each other a good face, and then you've been away from each other for so long, and then you're like, "Well, I know we had some bad stuff, but the good stuff I really enjoyed, and now I only see the good stuff in a
I
house
mean,
that is so stressful, and now it just gets everything gets mushed around." Small story, in college, I had a really I was in a relationship for over 2 years, and they cheated on me. It was really bad. I was very devastated. I was sleeping on my friend's couch for the rest of like half of a semester. But as we were trying to like break off, it's a campus. We're always gonna see each other, and then it's like you're going through all those emotions, and so we would just run into each other, and then we started hanging out a couple of times, and we would just like we would blur lines where it's like, I know this is bad, I know this is toxic, and but it's like, I miss that feeling, like I miss that person that I thought I liked, or the person that I thought was there. And then it takes a while to where it's like, okay, well, we just need to break this off. Like we're done. So I
Yeah,
think that's just the vibes and feelings. So I mean, I can empathize with how this is going. Now, that was college, and Nicole and Laurel are not in college, but love makes people do weird things. Um, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like you're in a pressure cooker. You
yeah,
only have yourself and 18 other people, and it's just bad. It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation overall, and it's going to get a billion times worse. It's almost like we're watching an old season of the challenge, yet it's deeming itself new because all this drama has already happened. And it's
we've
like,
done it. Yeah,
I can't
been
believe this
there.
happened a year ago. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, but we're seeing it
same
for the first
verse,
time
second
now.
verse, same as the first, isn't it?
Yeah.
Joanne put it, I think what everyone is saying, I don't want it. Just that simple.
No.
I don't want it. A Kiwi skirt, though, I think this is agreeing with me specifically because I felt the same way. Laurel knew what she was doing. Standing there in that towel after a shower, having conversation with her. Like, that's a very specific choice, I believe. But yeah, Laurel and Nicole, it's not great, but we're going to get it shoved down our throat multiple times, I think, because it is drama. It makes people angry. It makes people cringe. It makes people sad. And Paramount's like, yeah, we're going to give it all to you. So
Yeah.
we know how that's going to play out. Now, as a fan of old school Survivor, the challenge, Survivor's tomorrow. Get my head right. As a fan of old school challenge, one thing that people have complained about in recent seasons, I don't necessarily know if it's one of your complaints, but I see it online on the internet, especially fans of the OGs, is that the bar scenes that we get these days, especially in the flagship, has really been watered down. They
Mhm.
usually have some sort of setup at the house itself. They don't actually go to a bar. A lot of that was out of COVID. A lot of it was out of the violence and stuff that used to, the attention they used to attract in the local scene. But we get a bar scene. It is all stars. It's meant to be OGs. It's all stars, but we get like a 2-minute bar scene, and all we get the entire bar scene is strategy talk. Like, there's
And
no fun, there's no dancing, there's no shenanigans, no hijinks, no tomfoolery, none of that.
yeah. And it's like if you blink, you miss it. It's like
Yeah,
we only get strategy talk for the 2 minutes we're at the bar. Like that was it.
yeah.
It was kind of frustrating. Last week was a little bit better because they had the cool outside bar scene. They were dancing at least. But yeah, I agree with you. They could honestly they could have lopped this bar scene off, and nothing would have changed in the whole aspect of the thing. I think the most we got out of it was Tina saying that Jasmine was being manipulated for wanting to throw Tina's friends in, and then Veronica's basically saying that Tina sucks at politics in
Shitting
this
on
game.
her again.
Yeah,
They
and
keep
it's like, what is happening?
It's such a punching bag for them, isn't it?
And then you blink, and then we're back at the house, and then we get to Cam telling them that throw in Rachel and Cara. Like, we could have just
Mm.
taken out that whole bar scene, take out that 3 to 5 minutes, and nothing would have changed realistically.
I have a feeling it maybe a contributing factor. Like, first of all, before Danny Kabir said it's because Tony Time's gone. And they're not having fun at the bar scene. But I also feel like the average age of the house maybe contributes to the lack of shenanigans at the bar scene. Like, these are parents and people. The youngest person there is like 33. Uh, like
I
whatever
mean, that's like the
age.
main house now, though. The
It
main
is true, yeah.
cast
The
is
average
getting
age is
older and older.
creeping up, isn't it? It's getting a lot older. But maybe they're not going to get up to the same crazy antics at the bar. But you mentioned the discussions back at the house where Cam's saying throwing Kara. Cam's doing this thing where I do feel like maybe she pre-planned that she doesn't want to run with Kara at the end. It is a strategy. It's
Mhm.
it's her target, long term, short term, whatever it is. But she's now also seemingly playing it up from the emotional side too. Like, Kara didn't back me up. I'm gonna really, at least that's what we're getting in the confessionals. And it's like she's sort of, sometimes we see in the challenge where those two things go head to head, like do not go well together. The emotional side versus the strategy side.
Mhm.
I'm people thinking with their heart versus their head and all that sort of thing. But Cam seems to have aligned both of them. Her, her target for her emotional anger and her target for strategy seems to be the same person, balancing those two feelings. With Cara Maria specifically, we see Brandon, Avery, Jasmine. They took a big swing here with Cara,
Mhm.
and targeting Cara. What do you think of this approach here? Was it all Cam implanting in their head? Was it like their own thing?
I don't think it was all Cam. I think Cam got the ball rolling, at least for Jasmine and maybe Avery. But we saw, we didn't talk about this, but before the bar scene coming back from the
Hmm.
challenge, we see Cara and Brandon in the room together by
Yeah,
themselves. And even Brandon, we hear, is like, with this vote, I want to impact the game. I want to take a big swing. And I think Brandon had it in his mind that taking a look at all of the competitors, maybe they already had a conversation because I know he's close with Cam and Leroy. Like it seems like it's them three that are very close, but Brandon seems to be already ready to go with taking a swing at the big targets. Like we even hear, since it is a solo season and
yeah.
TJ's already let that known, he's like, I don't want to see Rachel or Cara in the final. I want to set myself up going forward. And so I think, again, I think it's a good play. I think it's a good move if you want to win and take that swing. It just so happens that maybe the person that everybody didn't want to come back in because of how, like, I think if Rachel would have came back in, I don't think there would have been too much love lost. I like Rachel
Yeah.
and I know she's very competitive, but I feel like she would have tried to like fit back into the house and try to do that comedy stuff that we saw at the arena. Whereas Cara has played recently, and when you cross her, it's over. Like it's just like I'm holding on to this grudge until everybody in front of me is decimated. And I will leave you all in the dust kind of vibe. And so I just think that they took the swing. I think it just didn't work out for him at the end of it. I know I jumped a lot, but that's just my vibe
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
all right. I think Jay knows that, right? Because Jay was the
Mhm,
the lone dissenter, and he sort of played it from a strategic point where I think Kara is a good ally to have.
mhm.
She's obviously very strong in the game. I want her to protect me in some way, so he didn't vote for Kara, which is kind of smart. But they obviously the vote goes against Tina. Still votes for Rachel. I don't know why Rachel got so upset by that. Like, what is she gonna do? Like, there's no harm, no foul at that point, right? Like, there's no. She didn't impact the vote. She played it smart by not voting first, and pulled the seniority card on Jasmine and said, "No, I'm not voting. Like, I'll wait to the end, and then while it was decided, she can then put it." But she still voted for Rachel. Like, I don't think they would have held it against her if she didn't, right? Like, I don't
I
know
think
why.
I think there's actually, like, in All Stars, I think lines are already formed and people know how close people's friendships are, and I don't think people get, well, we were just talking about Cam not liking Cara for not voting the way she wanted, but I don't think people would take it personally to be like, I couldn't vote Rachel. If Tina said like I threw a vote on Nicole, I couldn't vote for Rachel. I don't think Nicole would have been like, how dare you? I'm gonna throw you in next time I see
Yeah,
you. I think she would have been like, oh, that's fine, whatever. Like I totally
exactly.
understand kind of vibe. So I think there's actually more understanding than just like throwing away your vote. I actually disagree. I think Tina not voting first, but and everybody's minds are probably made up by the time they get there. But I agree with everybody else, especially Veronica and Rachel, being like, Tina just doesn't understand the political game as much or the tactful way of trying to get your way across to other people. Um, because it didn't work. Nothing worked. She was not in any of the conversations leading up to the nominations. The four of the younger players were always hanging out with each other. Tina is nowhere to be seen until the nominations. So Tina is completely out of it. When they finally get to the nominations, I just think Tina really just got outplayed here, slash opted out. I think she just opted out of any strategy or talking to anybody to really try to make a move with the power that she was given this episode. She just felt like it was very passive. It felt like she was playing defensively and then passive at the end of it. It just yeah, I don't know.
So the thing that for me was also like with Tina, I don't know, like again, we see it multiple times this episode. One when Rachel found out that Tina had
Mhm.
actually said her name, again, they're just completely bashing her like the whole time. Like Tina can't do anything right by her best friends that love her. You know what I mean? Everything she does, they're just shitting on completely.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Again, she could have just thrown her vote away, and on the other side, it didn't make a difference. I just think that it's like I think speaks to the bigger picture of like you're not seeing things or thinking things through, or you're not seeing a way down the line here. Because now that
Mm.
Rachel's gone, now Veronica has to lean on Tina, and I don't know how much you can trust her if you know that
She's
she
just
already
said how
voted in
bad she
Rachel.
is.
Yeah,
She
so
also
it's
said
just
how bad she is politically. She sucks, and she's like, she's my number one now.
I think
That's a
I
good
think
position to be in.
it's really funny because All Stars 3, it was like, we're the best of friends. We're great. And then Rachel gets added into the mix, and it's like, oh, Rachel's here. Okay, Rachel's the real game player. And then now we have to lean on each other, and it's not going so well.
Oh, Chris made a good point here. I'm gonna put this. This is what the fans were demanding. Kahuna, you have my support to be the number one nullified take host. You are the true J supporter, and we love to see it. And Dolores says, Chris, you got your J mention. It just took Chris not being here for it to happen. That's great. So they obviously let know Jasmine very quickly and happily and proudly shoves the Cara Maria name
Mhm.
into the marquee, and Cara Maria did not enjoy that at all. Like the way that she reacted to it. What did you think of Cara Maria being thrown in and then her emotional reaction to it?
I I understand where she's coming from. I also think that I think it was Julia in the my Patreon was talking about how Cara Maria was on medication. She said something about being on a certain medication from her doctor while being on the All Stars forecast, and that the side effects were making her a bit more emotional than what she would have been. So I think that heightened things here. But I want to say that I think Jasmine was a little bit too defensive. Right off the bat, she was a little too defensive, I felt, like, when Cara was like, "I tried to go to bat for you," like, you do the
Yeah.
normal, like, I tried to save you in the episode 2 or whatever," and, Jasmine didn't wanna hear any of it. It was like, "We're done, we're locking in." I don't think she was too offended by Jasmine's vote, but Brandon going all the way back and how much history they've had and always been with each other on all these challenges, to know that he voted and probably heard that he voted first to throw Cara's name out there. I think that's what really like cut to the core of her. And then nobody else really checking up on her until Ryan did,
Yeah.
which I don't know how close they are, but yeah,
Jorge
I think it was
Jorge
tough.
agrees with you there. I think it was
Yeah, I think it
Brandon's
was just
vote that
tough.
really hurt her. I
Yeah.
think as well because she had that it almost feels worse. Actually, I don't know. I've never really been in that situation, but it almost to me I feel like it would be worse when she said something doesn't feel right and she's got that sneaking
Mhm.
suspicion and Ryan's saying it's not going to go well and she's saying no, I trust my friends. Like to have that
Oh, that was
feeling
Ace.
there and then have it backstabbed versus if it was just a complete blindside out of nowhere, like to actually have that suspicion and have your suspicions confirmed. I was like, I was right. Damn it. Like, like if it,
Yeah.
I don't know, like I got
Well,
echoes and shades of Cara Maria being, she's obviously the strongest competitor in the house, or not obvious, but her, Laura, like whatever, like she's one of the strongest competitors in the house. She was always going to come in here as a target. I got shades and echoes of Prime Bananas when he was always targeted, always thrown in, where he would manipulate and almost use as an intimidation factor. I am a strong competitor, and Kara took that approach. She's like, you want to throw me in? I'm going to come back. I'm going to get you. Like using
mhm.
that to kind of influence the vote and intimidate and manipulate people. I got like bananas that that couple of seasons after Rivals, when he took the money from Sarah, where he was cursed for a while. He tried
Mhm.
to do that, like he was always at the bottom, always thing, but instead of crying about it, he kind of like stood up and said, "Yeah, like let's go, bring it on." It didn't work out for him at the time, but Kara's in this position where she's forced to either run away or stand up, and she kind of does both. She's very emotional, but she's
Mhm.
also saying, "I am Cara Maria. Like, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? So, I
Yeah,
do you see that correlation there?
I can see
The
that
power player at
correlation.
the bottom.
I also think you kind of hit the nail on the head with her because Ace is the one that was like, "Oh, your friends are going to throw you in." Like, I like both of you, and I think it's going to be both
Yep.
of you, which good on Ace for knowing it. And then Kara deciding to go actually talk to Jay and Brandon and having that conversation with somebody that you deem a friend, kind of being like, not asking, I guess, point blank, but basically saying, "Are you gonna put me up?" Like, somebody said, "You're
Mm,
gonna put me up with Rachel. Are you gonna put me up?" And to beat around the bush, to then go into the nomination and throw her name out there. It's like, "I thought you were a friend. I had this conversation with you. You didn't tell me anything, and then you threw me in." It's like it builds on each other, that I think that's where the emotion comes from, where it's like, "Wow, I thought you were a friend," and then you kinda just basically lied to my face saying you had no idea what you're doing, and then threw my name and down there. So I totally understand where she's coming from and feeling hurt by that.
absolutely. I do like her initial reaction. As soon as she saw the name, her first instant reaction before the emotions could set in was,
Mhm.
"Let's go, Rachel. Let's give him a show." Like that's what you want to hear when someone's going to elimination. Then the tantrum came, then the tears came, but the initial thing is, "Let's give them a show, Rachel. Let's go." And I like hearing that. We like considering that we had Kara versus Rachel. Kara going, "Let's do it. Let's go." They give a hug. They're like, "Yeah, we're hyped up." They're still hurt by, Tina turning on or voting Rachel. Brandon turning on Kara. They're upset. They're emotional. They get down there. It's going to be Rachel versus Kara, hall brawl, pole wrestle, something like that. We get Star Slice, throwing stars at your opponent's picture that had some Mario Kart question mark boxes that give you either advantages or disadvantages. 5 foot forward, stand on one leg, all this sort of thing. It's disappointed people. I know you. I know you're
Yeah.
disappointed as well. I'm choosing to look at the silver lining. I'm trying to squint really hard to find something good about it. And you know what I've got from this, Drew?
Hmm. I wanna
Finally,
hear.
I have not necessarily definitive, but a very, very, very good argument against all the people on the internet. This show is not rigged. They don't change challenges on the fly. They cut eliminations on the fly. They're like, oh, of course they give someone a like. This shows when you have Kara and Rachel, that elimination was set. Like if they could have ever done a change of challenge, it would be to just take that away and throw a pole in the sand, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
easiest one to rig. Put a pole. They don't need a haul. They don't need, just throw a pole in the sand and that's done. And they didn't, right? When you have Rachel versus Kara, they still kept it. That means I think that puts to bed the argument, right? That they rig eliminations against certain people.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that where it's like the challenge is too rigid sometimes, where it's like they don't wanna
They
switch
should have
things.
done it. They should have
Yeah,
done
they
it. Yeah.
I feel like, so here's the thing. I just got done watching Traders US season 2, and going from a show that's like very competition based, which I mean All Stars is a little bit better because it plays up to some of the reality and nostalgia and everything. But Traders did everything for the spectacle. If I was thinking of anything was
Yeah.
being rigged, it was Traders. They really lean into the reality TV. We're doing everything to give you a great show, whereas the challenge wants to be a fit sport. And if they really wanted to give us a show and give us something like a spectacle, they would have canned that big block that they threw in the middle of the elimination ring. They would have thrown that to the side. They would have put some trees and shrubberies away from it, and then they would have dropped a pole in the middle. I mean, you have two legends, two very strong women who are relatively the same size, the same build. I mean, if you want to have a physical elimination, and we talk about physical eliminations being uh, being imbalanced a lot of the time, like going back to free agents with Laurel and Jasmine and Leroy and Kahutta playing balls in against each other, or Fessel in a hall brawl against whoever because he's always going to win those things. It's like now that we have two people that are relatively the same size, this would have been a perfect time to be like, let's see who can actually get down and dirty in a pole wrestle when the two players going into the pole wrestle are so even and are really strong competitors who could equally win together. Some of the people are saying this should have been an elimination if Jasmine had to face off against Laurel in something, or if
Mm.
Veronica had to face off against anybody in elimination. Like this would have been the elimination, a crapshoot elimination, a carnival game that could have really leveled the playing field instead of it being very physical. Now I worry when we do get a pole wrestle, because it's a matter of when, not if, that it's going to be like this huge, completely imbalanced game when we could have had it here. But then again, would, if there was a pole in the middle of the ring, would have Laurel would have came down and then would have taken on either Rachel or Cara. To me, that's a huge waste of another opportunity that you didn't
Yeah.
throw a pole down there. And then Laurel's sitting there going like, could I take Rachel? Could I take Laurel or take Cara? Like that would have been so. Now I'm very pissed off that we did just a pole in the middle of the freaking ring. Now that could have been a possibility.
Anna D agrees with you. This elimination made me mad. All in caps. She broke her keyboard. Luciana said it was a cold shower of elimination. Kiwi agrees with me though. She said for years that people continue to believe that it's rigged, no matter what they do. Whereas Lovell Nikki's got a really interesting take on this, because someone said, who was it? Elise said Rachel said she didn't think she'd be able to do a physical elimination because her shoulder popped out in that elimination against Ayana, and again on the semi truck daily.
Mm.
So yeah, she did mention a shoulder at one point. Lovell Nikki says that she definitely would have heard it more if they did it. So she concludes, completely logical to me. So basically, what you're saying is the challenge is rigged, that they wanted to give Rachel a fair shot with a hurt shoulder. So they kept it. They could have done the pole wrestle. They kept it. She's going like layers of conspiracy.
And I actually cut out a huge portion of, not a huge portion, but I cut out a good chunk of my episode 3 review and recap, because I did notice that Rachel was like holding her shoulder getting out of the tube with Ayana, and I was like, I thought it would come up more, but when nobody
Yeah.
talked about it, I was like, all right, I'll just cut it out, because I thought she was holding onto it, but maybe she got it good because she was holding up her arms, being like, give me all your stars and everything. And then nothing else was said about it. So
That
I
was
just cut
good.
it
She said
out.
she's collecting stars. I thought that
Yeah.
was great. But it was a bit of a fizzer of an elimination. Like, we've seen worse, I think. It's just that when you, as an elimination standalone, you look at it, I think it's not horrible, but
Yeah.
it's when you have Rachel versus Cara as a thing, and they sucked at it so bad as well. Like, if they were competent too, but I love how they put the traces on the ninja stars. Like, it shows
Mhm.
again how difficult it was to follow those stars, that they had to put the traces there, and they see him going off to the side, over the top, and TJ's like, "Oh shit!" that was my favorite thing with the TJ's reactions when they just completely miss. Cara like turns around, is like, "Oops!" Like, I like that they're owning they're not trying to hype these people up to the point where like they make them look cool. They're just like, these are people, and
Yeah.
they miss and they stuff up, and we're calling it out and we're having fun with it, which I really appreciate. And of course, like, I say of course, but really this could have gone anyway, because it's not a particular skill set that either of them would be.
Mhm.
Laurel said, "Have you never played darts before?" Like, it's not the same thing, first of all.
Yeah, no.
Darts in a bar is not throwing ninja stars from 15, 20 feet away or whatever. Like, like, I don't think they have that. They're not, um, you know, feudal Japan assassins that are used to throwing ninja stars. But we see Cara Marie eventually take it out, which sucks for my draft, to be honest with you. But I think for
Yeah.
the show, everyone wants Cara Maria to go far. and we say goodbye to Rachel after 20 odd years. It was good to have her back on our screens. And TJ was very, very emphatic to say, you know, he always gives the blessing at the end. Hope to see you never versus we hope to see you again. And this one, he was adamant, like, we really, really hope to see you again soon, Rachel. I don't know if producers were like, hey, talk it up, TJ, like we need her back because it's been 20 years. But she got the stamp of endorsement from TJ for sure. And I agree.
Mhm.
I want to see Rachel back as much as we can.
Oh yeah, heck yeah! Especially since you don't know how many more seasons she's willing to do. She is like she's still in the challenge realm, not just doing like the challenge like YouTube workouts, but also she does have a good clientele of gym rats, and some of those people that she helps train are challengers like Tori and Josh and a few others that live here in Florida, South Florida. So I mean, she's always in the mix and she's always around. You just don't know how, like, because she has a family and a business and everything. You just don't know how many times she's going to just say yes to doing something. So I feel like no matter how many seasons she does or wherever she is, it's like we just got to just be happy that we see some of these people on here, not knowing if this is the last time we'll see them or we'll
Yeah.
see them only one more time or like no more times. Like just appreciate everybody while they're here. And don't spread hateful comments. If you dislike something that somebody did, leave it in the comment section below or on the chat of any of our videos, and we'll gladly interact with those comments. But don't throw them anybody else's way because they don't need that negativity in there.
Do you think Rachel had built into her contract that the season would essentially be an infomercial for her fitness business? I think
I mean,
she's
I'm sure they would like to get the traffic over to their YouTube channel, since they have all those workout videos that she's did for them too.
yeah,
So
that's
I mean,
true.
I think it goes a little both ways, you know.
Yeah. It was good having her back on screen. At least I like this comment. She said, I would have been uncomfortable throwing the stars too. Knowing me, I'd somehow hit myself with one, which I relate to very much, at least. Tana said it was definitely more than 20 feet when Kara got to move out 5 feet, 25% of okay. Look, I work in meters. So my confession, although Kiwi Skirt also works in meters and she's just throwing me completely under the semi-trailer truck. Uh, more like 25 to 30. um, that does bring us to the end of the elimination, and Kara gets presented with a decision to make here.
Mhm.
She has to steal a star, which we've seen is the format. She sort of flirts with the idea and asks Laurel, "Hey Laurel, how you doing up there?" She says, "Yeah, I'm doing good." And then Jasmine is also an option, so she gets to basically choose between an incredibly strong competitor or someone who she sees as a not a great competitor and says, I want to put target on her. This has actually caused a little bit of controversy as well because Cam straight up says in confessional, stupid. Kara doesn't know strategy, doesn't know what she's doing. What's Drew's take on this?
I've thought about this for a couple of days now, and I've rewatched the episode recently, and a few times since then. I think that Kara did the right thing. I think she did the right move by giving it to Jasmine. Giving it to Jasmine, and then knowing that Veronica has a star, both whom were given stars, did not earn those stars, were given stars. I think she just put a buffer around her own star, Kara's star. Whereas, like, if you, first of all, handing a star to Laurel, a very strong competitor, like, why? You just gave Laurel possibly a free ticket to the final at that point. If nobody steals it, nobody wants to go after Laurel or make an enemy out of her. You just handed her. Did we not learn anything from like Total Madness or like previous seasons where you just hand a very strong competitor an easy walk to the end? No, I was like, when she said I could give it to Laurel, I was like, oh, this could be a good like olive branch. But then it's like, no, you just hand her a move to go straight to the final. I think it was good for Jasmine. One, if somebody goes down there and wants to steal a star, they're more apt to steal Jasmine and Veronica's star on the basis that they were given stars, as well as I don't want to make an enemy out of Kara. If she gives it to Laurel, people might be like, I don't want to take a star away from Laurel. But that means that Kara star is up for grabs, and then Veronica star is up for grabs, and then those stars could swap around. Whereas Laurel just sits there pretty with a free star, and she doesn't have to do anything on her way to the final. I think it was a good move. I think it was the right move. I don't really I think Cam just wants to be critical of whatever Kara does, and it's kind of like me being like, I hate X because it's so popular. And then years later, when I start watching it, like Breaking Bad, I was like, I hate Breaking Bad. I'm never gonna watch it. And then right when it's starting its last season, I'm like, wow, this Breaking Bad show is good. It's like,
Drew's like, I am Heisenberg. I am the one who knocks.
yeah, I have a goatee and a hat, and I'm just like, I love this show. And it's like, yeah, I'm 6 years late to it. Like, you're an idiot. Like, but yeah, I just think that I just think it's like super hypercritical, maybe in the moment. And I don't agree that Kara should have gave it to Laurel just because I still I still don't really understand it. Maybe do you understand it, or how do you see it?
I can see what, like, first of all, Jorge agrees with you. This was really smart, in my opinion, from Kara. Chris also said Kara giving the side to Jasmine is perfect. Cam is being hated for no reason here. I think, and like I said before, it's so hard to control. But if you were to do things optimally and have the meta strategy, you don't want Laurel. You don't want. It's about timing, right? So if you give Laurel a star, then hopefully, if you give Laurel a star, yeah, you're right. Actually, I'm trying to think the other side. I was like, you don't. Someone will take Jasmine's star, but you don't want to. What am I thinking? Because I had it in my head earlier. Do you want a shield there? Does it? Who? If you're going, do you want to run against Laurel? Do you want to run against Kara? And if you don't want to run against Laurel, then you would take that star from her. But I guess Jasmine and that having it is easy. I don't know. Like I don't think Kara explained it well, because she said it puts a target on Jasmine's back. And Jasmine's like, I'm okay with targets, I'll take him, talking big. But I don't get how it puts a target on their back, because again, if it was closer to the end of the game, you want Jasmine and Veronica to have stars, right? And someone will
Yeah.
take Kara's versus theirs when it's getting to the end. If you're in the middle of the game, now I got it. If you're in the middle of the game or early in the game, you don't want to take Kara's star, because she has opportunity to come back and take it back from you and come back and get revenge, like you said. But if you can time it well, ideally that third person, Kara right now, if this was going to the finals up against Jasmine and Veronica with stars, like that's the perfect scenario, right? So do you want to have it so that when you get closer to the end, if someone's looking to take a star and take someone out of the stars, are you going to keep Jasmine and Veronica with their stars so that you run against them? Or are you going to keep Kara with a star so that you run against her? Right? So it just depends where you get that opportunity to take it, because I would take Kara's star away from her to keep her away from the finals as much as possible, from heading into the final.
I can see that. I can see that
Yeah.
closer to the line, but then as people dwindle away, you you start leaning on to what if Kara starts winning a lot and getting into the top spot where her star is like protected. So then it's like a battle of like, where do I go? Also, Veronica and Jasmine have been in the losing group multiple times now. So their stars are on borrowed time no matter what. Whether it's somebody's going to take them, somebody's going to steal them, or somebody's going to just take them out in the elimination. So I think that they're kind of just sitting ducks regardless, but I think it puts a buffer on Kara's star for now. I think if you gave it to Laurel, I think that just doesn't. You know what would be very interesting? Because I think Kara is viewing this as, oh, me and Rachel are really strong players who both had stars, and that's why we were targeted.
Targeted. Yep.
When I don't think, if I feel like if, say, Kara didn't have a star, she would have still been thrown in against Rachel. And and to me, I think that's where the difference would have been, where it's like, it's not the stars that make you a kind of a target. It was the gameplay and who was wanting to target you, and how many people they had following them, that made you a target, and everything. So I think it was a little bit missed on her that it was like, oh, these I don't if I give it to Laurel and we find ourselves in the losing group, we're going to go up against each other because we both have stars. I think if Laurel and Cara found themselves in the losers group on a women's day, they're going to be sent in even if they don't have stars. That's how I would see it.
Well, it depends. This is what I would do, right? I just thought of this, and I don't know. I haven't fleshed it out, so I don't know if it's good or not. But if you take Kara's star, right, the only way she gets it back is to win an elimination, win a daily, then throw herself in to elimination to then take the star. Like that's a very specific set of circumstances. And unless that happens, all you need to do is take Kara Star and then just build an alliance. Like that's the easiest thing to do in the house. But don't vote her in. Don't send her down to the sand.
Right.
Don't give her the opportunity to take a star back, right? Then she has to win a daily, right? She has to win a daily. Then she has to not only win a daily, she has to then throw herself into elimination, which is risky in and of itself. And then she has to win that elimination in order to steal a star back. So I think the risk can be nullified somewhat by the fact that just don't put her in, don't vote her in. Once she's got no star, unless she wins and she has to throw herself in, don't give her that opportunity. That's a way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's perfect. I mean, that's where I'm like I'm kind of still iffy on this whole format because of how
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
it's such it's here's the thing. I totally agree with you that the circumstances to get a star if it's stolen from you to get it back is so random. You either have to be in the losing group to be then voted in
and then voted in.
and then it's just there's just too much where that's why it's like, oh, Rachel could have stolen Kara Star, and then what's gonna happen? Not a huge lot. I mean, not a huge lot can happen. So I mean, I agree with you that I mean, we just saw what was it? Keefla took Brad's star, and Brad was like, "Oh, you should have thought about that." And then, but even though it's only been one episode, it's only been one episode, but it was like that was all he could say. And that's it. That's all he could say. And then he's like sleeping on a bed looking like he's dead as he's snoring.
By the way, look, again, I noticed the wrong things. And I'm bringing the whole tenor of the esteemed show that is a nullified takedown. But when Brad was sleeping, right, and Ryan and someone was cracking up at him and laughing, I thought they were laughing because he was snoring so hard. But when I did the second watch, I noticed something. Look, men, when you're sleeping, especially in the morning, there are certain body physical things that you can't necessarily control. And Brad was lying on that bed in very loose shorts. Just, I'm like, what is happening? Like, I think that's what they were laughing at. I'm sorry, Drew. I'm sorry to bring you down to my level, but Brad is the beard is not the biggest thing on him, is what I'm saying here.
Shout out to Brad. I hope I get to interview him so I can ask him about that.
I was like, what? I didn't notice at first, but I think that's what I think that's what they were laughing at.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, they're condemning me. I'm going. That's for me. I'm going to jump. Yeah, they're all sending me. I'm sorry, guys. I think I did. There you go. See, because Huna just lose his throne. And Dolores, of course, she's doing a rewatch. Very specifically, and going to be joined by Kiwi. So I don't know if that's how I want to end the episode on Brad and what Jorge says here. Look, yeah, Brad's winning either way. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, but that does bring us to the end. We said goodbye to Rachel. She got the endorsement. We saw Cara establishing herself as a very strong competitor, making the decision to give it to Jasmine. Cam calling her out for her strategy, saying she's not good at strategy. We saw the tears from Cara here. How do you think Cara, after her break, after being away from the show, is sort of acquitting herself here? Like, is she looking good in your eyes as far as her legendary status and, for me, GOAT female status?
I think she is. I think she's having a good time overall. I think this episode was a little bit of a speed bump in that she found out who definitely doesn't have her back.
Yeah.
But I think she's coming off really well in the edits. I think she's making good strategic moves for herself, which I mean, got her in a little bit of hot water in this episode and with Cam and stuff. But I think she can definitely hold her own. I mean, given the status of this cast and everything, and not trying to like belittle this cast, but it's like she just took out one of the strongest competitors in the game, and I think there's only one other woman that could take her out, and that's Laurel. But if she goes up against anybody else, I put all my trust in Kara to be able to take care of business. I think she's here willing to fight. She's willing to do whatever, and she's willing to be a lone wolf. And she is playing with no fear, which I really
Yeah.
appreciate. And I think she's coming off really, really well in the edit.
I agree. I've seen posts recently. I think people forget or whatever, but there's been on Facebook or maybe it was Reddit. Disrespect Kara's way. She's overrated, not good politically, bad social game, not great strategically. She obviously sucks at maths and puzzles. Like there's a lot of weaknesses and flaws in her game. But for me, I think that's what makes her so great is that she's
Mhm.
not the perfect player, but despite all those things, she is the strongest female competitor we've ever seen. Like
Mhm.
she's had the best record with these flaws. She can overcome like where someone has to be the perfect well-rounded player to be able to win. She kind of still does it while having these flaws that people, tend to pick on. So Kara looking very strong, taking out an incredibly strong player. Um, question from Luciana: who do you think is in trouble next week?
I mean, from the previews, it looks like Cam and Carr are going to have a pretty heated conversation with each other. And I mean, we're getting to the middle section of this game, and I think anything could happen. I think that we're going to see, especially with the numbers dwindling, and now we just crossed the threshold of only 5 people voting. I feel like that could be that could be a pattern moving forward where the middle group is going to have a lot of power, but at the same time, just be kind of non-existent. Like being in the middle group is great for voting, and if you have a star, but other than that, you're kind of you're kind of just you kind of wasted a week almost if you're trying to get your star and you just somehow get in the middle group. So I think that we're gonna see fewer people voting from here on out, and it's gonna get really, really messy, which I'm very excited for. Maybe some more double eliminations.
Do you think we could see a Cam and Kara elimination?
I think that would be fantastic. I would love it. I would love it, not it to be darts too.
Cam doesn't have any like worries at the moment. Nothing's really come her way except for Ayana, and she took her out. Kara is sort of not happy with her, but I don't see her getting voted in at least anytime soon. But no one seems to be looking at Cam in that way.
I could see the only thing I will say about Cam's game is that I think she's getting to a point where she's going to either find herself in the losing group and for her to tell people to vote for her in, or she's just going to randomly throw herself into an elimination coming up because she said, I don't know if she said it this episode or next episode, but she's like, I really want to get my star. If I go in and go home, I get to be with my kid. And if I
Yeah.
stay, then I have my star. I just really want to get my star. And I think she's going to maybe jump it a little too early, or maybe when it's not the perfect situation, just to see if she can get a star or like earlier rather than later. And I feel like that could jeopardize her game if it's not the right situation or the right game. But maybe she wins into power in a very upcoming episode, and then she's just like, I'm just gonna throw myself in no matter what it is. I'm just gonna throw myself in. She's gonna tell the whole house that, just so she can either get a star or go home, kind of vibe. That's how I
Yeah.
see it. Like she would rather just get it early, but she would just rather do it. And it's like, well, maybe you could wait, or maybe there's gonna be more double eliminations and you can get it later on. But maybe
I
that'll be
wonder
the case. But
if you could go that approach, I'm going to throw myself in. I've won. I'm throwing myself in no matter what. You're warning your fellow winners, like the Laurel
Mhm.
and Cam in this episode. I'm going in no matter what. And then you go to the middle group and you try to influence who gets voted in specifically.
Yeah.
Like I want Jasmine. I'm going in no matter what. So I want Jasmine, or I want Veronica, or I want Flora, whatever it is. Like that might be a way to do it. Like declare your intentions and then try to influence who you actually go up against. Could be an interesting play. Um,
Yeah.
Lovable Nikki said the same way Cam is putting these thoughts about Cara Marie and people's heads, people can start thinking about Cam in the same way, which is a really good point. Yeah. That does bring us to the end of the episode, however. A great episode again. Any final
Yeah.
thoughts? Anything I missed you want to add, Drew?
I don't think we missed anything. I thought we
I
relatively
mean,
hit
I covered
everything.
more than
Yeah.
I I'm
Yeah, you
talking
did.
about censored swear words. I'm talking should have censored myself apparently. I'm Brad. Like there's a lot going.
Chris missed a
um
wild episode to be gone. I mean, the gushing about the Car Maria and then talking about people sitting on people as well as uh anatomy while sleeping. I feel like Chris just was complete. He missed everything.
well, it wouldn't have been the episode that happened if Chris was running the show, which I'm sad to say. But um look, we are close on time, but do you have any quick updates on the draft at all? Do you have points? Am
Oh,
I?
yes, I
I
do.
had a bad
Actually,
couple of weeks. I had a tough couple of weeks. I had Tony last week, Rachel this week. They were meant to carry me, but now I've got Kara doing it all. So we'll see.
I mean,
An ace.
yeah, with Cara and Rachel actually scored a lot of points, so you're not in last place, which is
Okay.
great
Okay.
because I hold last place. Great. But I have last place. I'm last place. I have the second highest score with Cam with 38 total points. In total, in fourth place is me with 119 total points. So that's great. But only 6 points ahead of me is you, Kahuna.
Six
Um,
points. Oh.
yeah, 125 total points. You have the highest scoring person now with Cara Maria with 48 points. 41 points, I should say. 41 points. I have 38 points. So we have the top two highest point scorers. But you did lose Tony last week. You did lose Rachel this week. So you have a total of 4 people left in the game. And 3 of those people are Ace, Veronica, and Steve. They need to pick it up for you because they're not
Ah,
doing that
ah.
great.
Oh
In
no.
second place, only 7 points ahead of you, is
Okay.
Chantel. And she has way more people lost than you do this week. She's lost half of her team already, losing Janelle, Ayana, and Cyrus. Oh, this is also the audience's team, by the way, since they
Yep.
chose this team. Um, but they have Laurel as their highest scorer with 31 total points. They also have Derek, which is not great, but luckily he's now in the double digits with his daily challenge win. He now has 13 points. Congratulations. If without that, he would only have 8 points. So that's bad. But Chantel and the audience have 132 points, and 8 points ahead of them in first place is Chris, who has his whole team still. Me and Chris have every single one of our players still, which is great for us. Chris has 140 points in first place. So relatively still
Man.
together. I mean, between first place and
20,
last
21,
place,
21 points between first and last.
yeah, that's really strong. That's really great.
Yeah.
It's not normally that close. Normally one team's
Yeah,
blowing
we're
out the
going
other
well.
two teams, but we're doing good.
And the chat in second place, holding it up for Chantel. Really good work.
With only 3
Um,
players left to y'all's names. It's
there you go.
Kefla, Laurel, and Derek. Remember those 3 names, and your guys are going to just root for them the entire rest of the game.
I mean, Laurel is certainly poised to go far, I'm sure. But yeah, that'll bring us to the end. I want to say a big thank you to all the chat. You guys make it fun every week we do it, and it makes it so much better. So everyone, Chris, Level Nikki, Kiwi, Lena, Jorge, you two Bearcat. I didn't see you earlier, but here, um, Thana, Luciana, Dolores, as always. Everyone, thank you so much. And Drew, where can people find you? Tell us about the
Uh,
bakery.
You can find me over at Angel Cake Entertainment on YouTube.com. I'm at Angel Cake Vids on YouTube, as well as on Patreon at patreon.com/angelcakevids, where we got a lot of cool videos coming, especially in, I was going to say April. April's almost over. But I got some cool videos cooking up for both YouTube and on Patreon, as well as something very special, hopefully
Ooh.
cooking up for early next week. I'm gonna
Any
tease that.
teasers? Any hints?
I don't wanna accidentally like spoil anything or get people's hopes too high and then it doesn't work out. But I did get a confirmation uh today that something could be happening very soon slash
Ooh.
this weekend to then put out early next week on Patreon and on YouTube. So very,
It's
very looking forward to that.
the long-awaited Ninja Natalie video documentary.
Oh, oh yeah, you got me. Oh, I go through all of her ninja stuff. Oh my gosh, that'd be so bad. That'd be so bad.
He does it for April Fool's one year. Like he spent 3 weeks making it, just drops a Ninja Natalie video.
Oh my gosh. If I did that for an April Fool's joke, that would be like me wasting all of my time and energy for nothing. For people just to mass
Pranks on
unsubscribe
you,
to
Drew.
me.
Pranks on
Yeah.
you.
Exactly.
So yeah, thank you again, Drew. Thank you to everyone. Of course, if you like the live, please subscribe. Dolores, if you want Kahuna to continue the Kahuna factor, like the video, Kiwi Skirt, like, subscribe, share. I'm gonna do this thing that Chris always does and I forget. There it is. I know what I'm
Nice.
doing, folks. I'm professional. Chris Who is what they're saying, but everyone had a great time. I had a great time. Drew, thank you so much. We're going to, of course, catch up next week for more of the challenge. Chris will be back, I'm sure. I'm actually going to meet Chris this afternoon for the first time in real life. So maybe we'll have a photo or something like that. I don't know. It'll be on social media, I'm sure. But yeah, and then tomorrow morning, evening for the US, we have Survivor 46 recap, and then we'll be back for All Stars 4 again next week. But until then, thank you so much. Please subscribe. Head on over to Angel Cake Entertainment, best challenge videos on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that. But Drew, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. And when you meet Chris and then take a picture and then post it, can you confirm that Chris is like 9 feet tall so that when people look at my and his photo where we're standing next to each other, people don't think I'm drastically very short?
Did that get you? Is Chris deceptively tall? Because he told me the other day he's 6 foot, and I was like, oh, I didn't know he was 6 foot just based on my little video screen. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, he's 6 foot. I thought he was 7. I thought he was 9 foot, 7 foot.
well, that's because you're not. You can't be 5'11" because anyone 5'11" is actually 6 foot, right?
No, people that say they're 6 foot are they say the opposite, that people who say they're 6 foot are actually 5'11".
Yeah. That's all right. Well, thank you so much, Drew. Thanks everyone for the live. It was so much fun. I appreciate it. And thank you for your patience and putting up with me. We'll catch you again next week. Bye.